Welcome back to the second episode of Curiosity Killed the Cat. My name is Marcel Fetovo, an engineering student at RMIT University. Today I'm joined with Marcus Sneyders, an athlete, and he's very passionate with language learning. So the first hour of this episode, we'll be talking about his trip and how the Australian transport system compares to the European system. Then the second hour of the podcast, we'll be talking about the world of athletes and athletics, and specifically sprinting. And we'll also talk about language learning. Remember, if you're listening to this episode, check if you're following the podcast on Spotify. Thank you and enjoy the episode. How long did it take to come here?
Well, I stopped twice because once I got some shit in my eye going past the construction site.
Oh, yeah. Construction site?
Well, I was just building a house built.
Oh, okay. You told me you're going to go to Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
But first, tell me about your trip in Europe.
Oh, it's like so different to Australia. Like, but you obviously know with being raised in France. Going to Paris, it was like, to be honest, I didn't know what to expect. Like, I thought as soon as I'd go out the airport, someone would try to scam me or something.
That's half true.
Yeah, I did actually almost get scammed. But I'll say that in a couple minutes. Firstly, when we arrived in Paris, it was like, what time? It was, I think it was around just after midday.
Okay.
And it was freezing because
it was winter, yeah?
Yeah, it was winter. It was freezing. It was like November 28th.
Yeah.
It was so freezing. Even though it was like 6 or 7 degrees, it was so cold in Paris because we were like used to the 20 degrees and all that. The summer, well, not summer, but like Australian spring, which is actually pretty decent. And yeah, we were just climatizing to the weather. And yeah, it was, we got a taxi in the circle of Paris. I don't know what the freeway that goes around Paris. And it was actually so good. Like, you could basically see all the main monuments, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure there's a street called Marceau. So
yeah, I might have gone on it maybe if it's a popular street.
Is that roundabout with the thing? I forgot what it's called.
Champs-Elysees?
Yeah, at the end.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I did go. I remember. Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah.
I think I did go on it. Because we went to the Arc de Triomphe. Arc de Triomphe, that's the name.
Yeah.
Champs-Elysees is the street that goes through it, I think. We got to the hotel. It's so small. Like, I think it's to Parisian standards. It's quite even to Parisian standards.
You got to fit a lot of people.
Yeah. We had to get 2 apartments because it was just so small.
You were 3?
4.
4? Oh yeah, your
my
brother
and then my parents. Yeah. And there was a school right next to us. So like at 4, you just get a whole bunch of teenagers come out smoking.
Yeah. Smoking,
yeah. And then you got the best bakery ever, just a random bakery, just like a patisserie. That literally, as soon as we unpacked all our things, we went to the patisserie straight away to I got a pain au chocolat. My dad got a croissant. And then we went to see the Eiffel Tower, and that was basically it because we were so tired. Like, I think we went to sleep at like 7 that day.
Okay.
We were exhausted because we'd been traveling for like 30 hours.
Yeah. So did you go to France first? Or?
Yeah, we landed in Paris.
Okay.
But we were on Qatar Airways, and we went to Doha first. And they're actually really decent. They're very underrated airways. Like, the landings were really smooth. Everyone was so nice. I was just super excited.
Yeah.
And so on the second day, we woke up probably at like 4 a.m. because jet lag.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the Eiffel Tower in the morning. Like,
did you go up the steps?
Yeah, we went up the steps. It was really good. Obviously, it's a bit overrated because everyone loves the Eiffel Tower, but it's just a big monument, you know. And it was a really good view of the city. And I didn't realize there was a business center in Paris as well.
Yeah. There's the police district or something that has towers.
Yeah, you could see that. But you can see everything from the
Eiffel.
the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
And then when we got down, there was a whole bunch of people trying to sell us things,
Yeah.
which was a new sight for me. Yeah, because I've never seen anything like it. You got like 100 people lined up with mats of like the Eiffel Tower and stuff.
Yeah.
But we did all the big things on the first day. Then we went to the Champs-Élysées and the Sacré-Cœur. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
I don't know.
But it was a good first day. I was feeling quite fatigued still.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I did not like walking a lot.
Yeah.
I was walking like 25,000 steps that day. And then on the third day, that's where I got sick. I got really sick. I had a bad cold. But we still went to the Louvre anyways. We saw the Mona Lisa. Extremely overrated. It's just a small painting, you know? The painting,
I could barely see it because there was so many people in front of me when I was there.
Yeah, you got, like the photo I have, I could not be bothered going into the crowd. I just like took a photo above. And I was like, but the photo...
And it's not a big room either.
Yeah, it's not. It's like not that big at all. And the painting next to it was way better. The huge one. I don't know.
I don't remember that one.
It's on the other side of it. In the same room.
But I don't think I went there.
The big one.
Okay.
I don't know if it's like... That's what I saw there. And then... Yeah, the Louvre was really good. I just wanted to go by myself because... Like, walking around because... My parents wanted to do other things, but I was just trying to look for a sculpture of Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it though. I don't know if
Is there one at the...
I don't know. I asked the guy and he said there should be one in like the Greek section or the Roman the sculpture section, but I couldn't find it. So I was very disappointed. So yeah.
I like how in Europe there's like the old architecture. It makes it so much more lively than here. With it's cool architecture, but it's not like
in suburbia.
These houses. It's
Suburbia.
just the same everywhere.
It's terrible. Suburbia. I'm a huge advocate for walkable cities. Yeah.
Walkable cities.
Yeah, walkable cities. Like if you mention anything about cars, walking, or cycling, I'm gonna go crazy about walkable cities. That's why I absolutely love the Netherlands.
Yeah. Melbourne's not bad either.
Pardon?
Melbourne's not bad either.
Yeah, Melbourne's in the city centre, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And the cycling, and we have a pretty bad culture with cycling. You got like a lot of people hate cyclists on the road. Yeah. Which is actually another reason why we need more cycling infrastructure. Better.
We do have a lot of bike lanes.
Yeah, we do, but like they're on the same.
It doesn't feel safe. Yeah.
You're on the same basically road as like all the cars in the same section. Yeah. They can easily just turn to the left a little bit.
I biked once in the city and I didn't feel safe. I just went on the sidewalk and walked.
So I think we need more cycling stuff like this. If we want like to do better with like climate change and also the livelihood of everyone, like we're gonna need stuff
it's
like
difficult with like so many people living in the suburbs.
That's true. Like
but the trains are good.
The trains and public transport is actually pretty decent. Yeah. It's not as good as like Europe, but that's because it's slightly more. It's a bit more compact. But like in the cities, we should probably having like I think it's just with the demand. Like we've got enough for where we are. Like we don't have heaps that use. Like we've got like the school kids and all that with the buses, and it seems like buses never really get that full.
Yeah. Well.
Well, I haven't never really seen, but you probably...
In the morning when people go to work, there's full.
I think we need to change the Australian culture of being car-centric.
And when I was in France, I didn't really feel like the trains were like good. I mean, they're obviously some of the best trains in the world. Yeah. But you have to buy a ticket instead of here when we have Mykeys. Yeah. And it makes it so much easier. You don't have to plan ahead. You can just go and tap and...
Yeah. And some of the trains were like super packed.
Oh, in France?
Yeah, we were a bit scared. We're like, oh, everyone put your stuff in your jacket, zip it up, make sure, because
pickpocketers.
Yeah, pickpocketers. We'd been warned. And then back onto the Euro trip. We took a Euro rail, I think that's what it's called, to Amsterdam, and we that was like a 4-hour trip, and that was That was actually a really good trip. Like I'd never been on a speed rail or whatever it's called before, and I think we hit like 350 kilometers per hour.
Do we have trains like that in Australia?
No, we don't have a high speed rail. We got V line, but it's like
we need that because it was such a big country.
Yeah,
It'll make Melbourne to Sydney so much faster.
But the
How
thing,
much? How
you
long is
know,
it already
it
by train? Melbourne to Sydney?
it's probably
that
like
even
12
doable?
hours or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, and also you probably have like, I think Qantas might be playing a part in, because if we have a high speed rail from Melbourne to Sydney,
Yeah.
Qantas isn't gonna like that.
True.
Because they probably have tons of flights going that way. Like, I haven't done my research on it, but they've blocked like Qatar Airways coming to doing business in Australia a bit. They're obviously gonna tell the government that, yo, we don't want this.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people are like, I think a lot of people are still very car centric with that as well. Like a lot of people drive as well.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we don't need these long trains for anything. So yeah, I think we definitely need a change with that. We got to keep up with the times.
Yeah, and you were right as well. It's 12 hours
Yeah,
by
12
train to
12
go to
hours.
Sydney,
12 hours by train, and it's like,
and 2 hours, a bit more maybe, by plane.
I think it's 2 hours to Gold Coast, I think, or just
Okay.
like 2 hours 15. So it's probably like just under 2 hours, I think,
Okay.
by plane. So that's so convenient for plane,
Yeah.
but it's not train. You could probably do like high speed 5 or 6 maybe hours.
Maybe.
But it should be a lot cheaper. But the thing is, it's not going to be cheaper than like when it's first starting out, cheaper than planes, because like
Yeah.
you could probably get a ticket from Melbourne to Sydney pretty cheap compared to like what you would have for high speed rail.
Alright.
So
Back to the trip.
yeah, back to the
Again.
trip. Amsterdam, everywhere smelled like weed.
Yeah. Understandable.
And I didn't really know it was weed until like I was like, hang on a second, I'm smelling this everywhere. What is this?
because it's
like a weird-
legal.
Yeah, it's weird, sweet.
Aren't they not allowed to smoke in public now? Only in cafes or
I
something?
think they're changing it, yeah.
it's
I
the other way
don't know the official law, but they're definitely changing it. I'm pretty sure they don't want to be seen as like the place where you can just go smoke weed.
Yeah.
But I think it's that, yeah, cafes everywhere around, you got people smoking.
Are they just normal people or junkies?
Normal people.
Okay. That's good.
But there's a few more junkies. Well, there's a few. I'd probably say a normal amount.
like, normal
like-
amount.
for
So
like
like same
Melbourne.
as here?
Yeah, same as here in Melbourne.
It's like a couple at the train station.
Yeah. But the public transports, everything just worked so well in the Netherlands. It was insanely well
Do they
designed.
have a Mikey system?
No, but you can get on any tram and trams are everywhere in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
You've got someone that's working inside the tram that will sell you a ticket.
Oh.
And you just tap on. It's like a one ride ticket or a 1 hour ticket. I forgot which one it was. But you have someone working in like a cylinder kind of glass thing.
Yeah.
And then I think they can sell you like almost every different type of ticket. Obviously, you got to buy like a ticket at the train to go
Is it
from one
the
place to another.
Conductor? Or is it someone else?
It's like it's someone else. It's not the person driving. So there's two workers
yeah.
on the tram, which is so convenient.
Yeah.
And I was amazed by that. I've never seen anything like that. So we can just go anywhere we wanted to in Amsterdam, just with a tram. You could basically get from one side to Amsterdam to the other with a tram, probably like 25 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was only like, it was a bit more expensive than like Paris for public transport. It was like €3 for a one ride ticket, which is a bit more.
Expensive.
Yeah, it's a bit expensive. But I think if you were living there, I think because you do have like a Mikey ticket. They have like a Mikey ticket kind of thing, which I think is the rides are cheaper. Like if you have a single ticket, it's more expensive. So I think living there would be cheaper. There was a lot of things. I think Amsterdam was like probably compared to Paris, it was like, and the whole trip.
Was it cleaner?
It was definitely cleaner. Yeah. It didn't smell as bad as Paris. Everyone smoked there. It just smelled really bad. That really put me off, especially when my nose was really sensitive from being sick.
Yeah.
And I was kind of annoyed because I was like sick for like a week and I couldn't train at all.
Wait, how long were you in Paris for?
From November 28th to December 2nd. So I think it was 5 full days.
Okay. And then you went straight to Amsterdam?
Yep. We bypassed Belgium.
Okay.
And Belgium actually looked pretty decent, but we didn't get off or anything.
You went by train? Or?
Yeah, by train.
Okay.
By train. 4 hours.
You told me.
Yeah. And in Amsterdam, we did a lot of every day we did stuff, and it was a bit more chill than Paris because we wanted to do as much as we could in Paris.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to say we went to the Palace of Versailles, but
What's that?
the Palace of Versailles. It's like an hour train ride outside of Paris.
Okay.
You know where they signed the Treaty of World War One in
Okay.
1919?
Yeah.
Yeah, that place.
Okay,
And they had
okay.
like the monarchs lived there for France. They used to.
Okay.
And then in Amsterdam, we saw like the Rijksmuseum. No one believes me, but I did not go to the red light district. And I didn't smoke any weed either.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was
Because your
like,
parents were there?
Well,
Is
no.
that why, or?
I just couldn't be bothered. Even my parents went to the red light district. I didn't.
Okay.
I wanted to do other things. Like, I wasn't really interested in that.
Okay.
The central train station looked the best central train station I've ever seen. Like, it's like just the architecture is just so fascinating for someone that's lived in suburbia their entire life. Like, it's just amazing.
Is it different to Paris?
I would say it is. Like,
They must have some kind of difference.
it was
In architecture.
in architecture definitely. It was a more Dutch looking architecture.
Is there more use of wood?
Maybe a little.
I don't know how.
Maybe a
their
little. But
architecture is.
it could have that train station could have been a palace, like
Oh.
a Dutch kind of looking palace,
Oh.
like not like a fancy kind of palace, but like pretty decent looking palace. And that looked really cool. And I was really surprised with the apartment we stayed in Amsterdam. It was huge compared to what we'd come from
In Paris. Yeah.
It was probably all of both the two apartments we stayed in Paris was probably, and compared to the one in Amsterdam, it was probably like 4 times smaller. Like,
Okay.
it was
Okay. How many rooms?
in Amsterdam, it was 4, but there was a big open space,
Yeah.
like with the living room and the kitchen. Like, we actually had a kitchen.
And are there like a lot of towers or not at all in Amsterdam?
It's really, because it's really flat, lowlands. There wasn't, I don't remember many. Like, I think on the outskirts, there might have been like, not tall towers, but like a bigger building, probably like 20 or 30 stories maybe.
Okay.
But no skylines or anything like that. Like, it's flat.
Okay, yeah.
And we did a day trip to Delft on like the 4th. Oh, actually, firstly, I had my 18th birthday there, and we met with family, the extended family, on my mum's side, and she's not even Dutch, which is really weird because like on my dad's side, everyone is old and they don't want. I've never met them in my life, and I don't think they want to meet me either. But they were younger, and they're like, I don't know, in their 40s or something.
Yeah.
And they were super nice.
And they are Dutch.
Yeah. They're not Dutch. The wife is Suriname. From Suriname.
Okay.
I don't know where she was.
South America.
South America, but it was colonized by the Dutch. I think she's half Dutch.
Okay.
And then the husband is Scottish.
Okay.
But it's like very extended. Like, I don't even think we're directly related.
Okay. It's like almost like family friends.
Yeah, but the thing is, it felt like we'd been catching up with family. Like, we didn't even eat any big meals. Like, it was like we got there probably like 4 at a restaurant, but we didn't eat any meals. We had like afternoon tea. We sat for like 4 hours just talking, and it was so good. And it actually snowed that night as well.
I think you sent us photos.
Yeah, but it was like sleet. It wasn't really like snow. It just melted.
Okay.
But it snow falling was pretty cool.
Yeah. Was that your first experience?
Yeah, my first experience was snow falling.
Okay.
I'd seen snow before, but like it was like when I was really young.
Yeah.
Then we went to Delft. That's the day trip. That was really good. Like, it seemed like a small town, but it was actually like a small city.
Oh.
And it had a really cool church. We took a train ride there, and I think it was like 50 or 40 minutes. And it's going like a quarter way through the Netherlands. Like, Netherlands is quite small. And that was really good. We saw like 2 churches and then this like government building, which is like really old one, probably like 400 years ago.
Yeah.
And
that was cool how they have history that goes back hundreds of years ago. And
before we were even colonized Australia.
Yeah.
Like that's just crazy.
Yeah.
I stayed with my friend back in Germany. This is skipping ahead a bit.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
my parents went back home and I stayed in Germany for a little bit. My friend's his apartment is in an old monastery, and it was built in like the 1760s.
Huh.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
I think you told me about this.
yeah. It's like
Old monastery.
Yeah.
So Christian.
Christian
Thing.
monastery.
Cool.
And there's like a small museum basically through the stairwell because like they got all these artifacts and stuff.
So that's the apartment or house?
Well, there's 4 apartments in the building.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was so cool.
Is there like a big backyard, or is it like still a dance area?
It's like a small backyard, which is like shared. But I didn't really go out to there because it was winter. There was actually quite a bit of snow. There,
Okay.
so that was
Okay.
But the front is like a big driveway.
Okay.
Where all the cars go. Well, going back to Amsterdam, we spent like 8 days there, and I think the best experience was riding around. It was just
Was it easy?
It was so easy. All the buildings, like you're actually protected in the lane.
Can you get places fast?
Yes, you can. Well, not fast, but like my bike wasn't that good because I hired an old bike, which for like 10 euros.
Yeah.
And when you're pushing the pedals, it's really light. So everyone was passing.
Yeah.
But when you have rush hour, it's not cars, it's bikes. You had like 30 people in bikes waiting for the light to go green to cross.
Jesus.
It was so good. Like it was just a much better experience than riding here in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And it's just smooth because usually for some people riding on bikes, they ride on pathways. Like it's just all bumpy, but here it was so smooth and it was just a very good experience. So Melbourne definitely has to change something. Going from Amsterdam, we went to Cologne in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely not what I was expecting. We had a hotel on an apartment in an industrial area.
Oh, okay.
It was not the best.
Yeah.
We
And did you talk with anyone in German or in Dutch?
I didn't know any Dutch at that point, which I was kind of annoyed about. But my extended family all knew Dutch like really well,
Yeah.
and 2 of them were native Dutch, and then 1 of them was second language Dutch.
Okay.
And German at that point, I was still learning German.
Yeah.
Just letting you guys know, I'm not very good at being consistent with one target language. At that point, I was learning German, and I did have like a couple conversations with short conversations with some people, which was pretty good. But at that point, I was starting to give up, even though I was in the country, just because my brain, whenever I tried to understand grammar, would just tear itself apart. It was not a good experience.
Yeah.
But in Cologne, in our apartment we were staying at, the whole stairwell smelled like cigarettes, smoke. So, and we were like 4 stories up.
Yeah.
So every time I'd go through, I'd run up the stairs and get to the apartment because the apartment actually smelled good.
Okay.
So the 2 things that were really good with Cologne was the cathedral. There was huge cathedral, and right next to it was probably the best Christmas market in the world. We went ice skating and all that. So those were the best things.
Which country were you in when there was Christmas?
For Christmas.
Yeah, for Christmas.
Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Austria.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is like December 10th right here. They have Christmas markets all month long.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and there was like probably over 100,000 people going through Christmas market in one night in Cologne.
Jesus.
Probably even more. Yeah, it's hectic. But the food was so good. We had currywurst and bratwurst. Those were so yummy.
Did you go to Frankfurt?
Frankfurt.
Or the Frankfurt sausages?
No, but we
Okay.
bypassed it. We
Okay.
went past it going on a train
Yeah.
from Cologne. I just wanted to get out there. We only spent like 3 or 4 days there.
Yeah.
To be honest, it was quite depressing.
Oh.
But that area is kind of like an industrial area, like the Rhine-Ruhr region.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Yeah, the train system in Germany, even though people are saying like it's always delayed and stuff, yeah, it probably is with like all the local trains.
Yeah.
But the ICEs were really good.
What's that?
Intercity express trains.
Okay.
Those were so good, and they're super fast as well. And we went from Cologne to this small city of Heidelberg, where all the tourists go. And that was so good.
I know the city from FIFA.
And the Christmas market was so good there. And during this time, I'm able to like keep training a bit. Like I think I probably did like 5 to 6 sessions a week while traveling. My parents weren't the happiest about it, but it was they got used to it.
Yeah.
And then in Heidelberg was really good. Like we went on this thing called a philosopher's walk, because kind of like famous philosopher. I forgot his name, but he would go on this walk every day. It was like steep uphill, like it was so steep, and it just the city being in the hills was just a really good sight to see. Not really any snow yet, which I was a bit disappointed about. I was like, damn, global warming, why are you gonna get rid of all this snow? And my sister had gotten really lucky because she went on a separate trip to Europe with her friends a month earlier.
Yeah.
And they had a snowstorm, like basically in every place they went to.
Okay. In
But
Germany.
then, yeah, they went to Poland as well.
Okay.
And they went to Czechia as well, Prague, and Austria. And they had so much snow. They were really lucky because there was a big snowstorm for like 2 weeks, with lots of snow in all the places they went to. But then we came like 2 weeks later to like the Netherlands and Germany. No snow. It was terrible. I was so annoyed. And it was just like really cold, but there's no snow. Yeah. And then from Heidelberg, we went to Munich. Munich was really good. You could start to see more bits of snow because we're getting like higher elevation. Like there was just big clumps of like really tough snow, like not very good. Like in the city center, you have like a big mound of like of tough snow you can stand on and stuff. Not very soft at all. We then in Munich was quite good. I got I found out about these really good bookstores, a chain. I forgot what it's called, but there was I found like a 3 or 4 story.
Well, all the books in German?
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
Most of them. Some of them were in English. Like they had an English section.
Yeah.
So I was really annoyed at that.
Yeah.
But I eventually found a store that had a bigger English section, which was pretty good. And I was really just looking at language learning books. I don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that after.
Yeah. Then in Munich, it was really good. The Christmas market was amazing. The city center was really good. And it's really easily walkable. Like everything's so compact in Munich. It was really walkable. And we also took a day trip to the concentration camp Dachau, or Dachau in English. And that was bone-chilling experience. Like
Was it maintained?
Maintained, yeah. Like they got rid of all the places they were staying in, but they made replicas.
Okay.
And they had like 20 huts of not huts, but like little place. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's like when you go on camp, like in school, and you've got like but like you've got like 1,000 people living in one hut.
Damn.
Yeah. And it was mainly a work camp. They had gas chambers, but they didn't find any gas being used at the chamber, so they don't know if anyone was actually killed there.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was.
Weren't there other techniques to?
There were, but the most efficient was gas chambers.
Yeah.
And when you're in a camp, their main death in Dachau was
Hunger? Starvation?
yes, you got like being overworked, being
Ah.
shot, or like being tortured to death and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
For like not being, mainly the Germans would just, or the Nazis would find anything they could to
To kill them.
yeah, because they were
Yeah.
just a number. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bone chilling. It was to the point of being in disgust and stuff that something like this could happen.
Hmm.
But that's why they have it there today to show to everyone. So yeah.
Yeah.
And with Munich, everything looked like it was like really like kind of like fancy and old. But it looked pretty good.
Was it different? Very different to Paris? Because when
I
I
would
think
say-
of fancy and old, I think of like
It
some
was.
streets
I
in
would
Paris.
say kind of similar. Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't smell as bad.
Yeah, of course.
They're quite. I would say they're quite similar in a certain way, but at the same time, Paris is like huge.
Okay. Munich's much smaller.
It's a bit smaller, I would say.
Okay.
Like we walked over like half the city in like 30 or 40 minutes. Like
Okay.
from like half of the city one side to another half of it. In like 30, 40 minutes. It was and you can see the mountains in the distance. And also we could go to Olympic Park and I trained there a bit. That was really cool. First time seeing an indoor athletic stadium because we don't have any here, which is really annoying. And Olympic Park is actually a really good place to go. Like there's just all these like I think they're man-made hills. I don't know. There and you can like climb up this like not climb but like go up this basically a really big hill and you can see all the mountains, the entire city, and it's really good. A good place to go for a jog or something like that. And Munich, we probably wanted to stay a bit longer than we actually did because there was actually a lot of things to do. But then after Munich, we took a train, an ICE, Intercity Express train to Innsbruck in Austria, which is like a really small city in the middle of the mountains. And that was amazing because I'd never seen mountains so tall before, and just like they're just completely surrounding you basically, and there's just snow on these mountains. And the thing is, we had gone through some sort of heat wave or something, because like the average weather in Innsbruck in winter at the time we were there should be in the negatives, but we were getting like 5 degrees, 6 degrees, 7 degrees.
It's still cold, but
it's cold, but like that's like at least a 10 degree difference almost.
Yeah.
Which is not good. Not good at all.
Yeah.
So global warming is affecting them a bit more than I would say what we're feeling.
Yeah.
To be honest, I would say like we're getting less hotter days, like compared to from when I was a child. Like when I was a child, we'd have like 2 or 3 40-degree days together or something like that. And like lots of 30 degrees days, and then we've been getting a bit less.
Yeah. How about the bushfires?
But the bushfires, I would also say...
Well, maybe that's not even being affected by global warming. Maybe that's just a natural ecosystem of
I would
Australia.
say we had the 2020 bushfires, and those were not good at all.
Yeah.
And then we also...
But they happen like naturally, historically.
Yeah.
Even
and I would
like,
say we're doing better at controlling them, maybe a little bit. Like we're doing the pre-planned burns and stuff.
Yeah,
like
even
that.
I'm pretty sure Indigenous Australians did that as well.
Yeah, they would do that as well. They had their own technique.
It's been part of Australia for long.
A very long time, thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
But I would say maybe more like, how yesterday we had a 38-degree day and now we have a 22-degree day.
Yeah.
I think that probably is probably something
huge
to do.
Difference.
Yeah, global warming maybe. I actually don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, but
got to do my research on that.
Yeah.
I'm not a meteorologist. And Innsbruck was really good. Like you just got Christmas markets. All the buildings are colorful and old. And then we were able to take a gondola up to the top of the mountain, and it was the snow was like sort of like sand, but like it was so soft, and it was so soft. And when we got to the top, it was like 2,400 meters up above sea level, and like at some points I had trouble breathing as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it was really an amazing experience. And it was like the visibility was terrible that day, so there was no skiers up there.
Fog.
Yeah, it was all clouds or what.
Yeah.
So that was really amazing. Like just being so high up. I don't think I've ever been so high up unless I've been on an airplane. So yeah. And Innsbruck, we didn't spend long there just because it's smaller. There was a few less things to do than say like a bigger city like Paris or Amsterdam. We then went to Salzburg for Christmas.
Salzburg in
Austria. We kind of did like a loop going down from Munich, Innsbruck, Salzburg, and then back up.
Yep.
And in Salzburg, we got there on the 23rd, and the mountains, I would say, were slightly. I don't know if they're slightly smaller, but like they were a bit further away from the city than they were from Innsbruck.
Also, is there any like process when entering Austria?
No.
You're just on the road and you cross the border and that's it.
Well, it's a part of the EU, the European Union. So they got like I forgot the name of it. But there's a zone like where all the European Union countries they agreed to like to cross borders and trade and all that. I forgot the zone.
So if you went further into Austria, would there be a process?
No.
Oh.
Because it's a part of the European Union.
Okay.
So that's why when Great Britain left the EU, all of a sudden, like, there you had to get like your passport stamped and all that stuff.
Yeah. I didn't know that about the EU.
Yeah, you can just like cross. That's why it's so easy to travel in the EU.
But like, what if one country just decides to get a bunch of refugees or something, and then they start crossing borders, and then other countries are like, no, don't.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Like
I didn't know
that's
that.
a big issue in Europe at the moment.
It is?
Like, yeah, it's quite a big issue in the moment because, like, I know in the Netherlands they have a housing crisis. Like, everything's so expensive for housing, like renting, buying houses.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of people saying, "Oh, we don't have any more space for like refugees and stuff like that." And I know Italy is also because it's like on the Mediterranean. It's quite close to North Africa, where a lot of refugees are coming through, and also from the Middle East. The new prime minister, I don't know, I forgot her name, and she's got strong views about refugees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right winged.
I think she is right wing, but I don't know.
Yeah. In France as well, there's like more and more right wing parties.
I feel like right wing, not to get like super political, like right wing is having a bit of a rise in Europe. One of the reasons being like with refugees and
Isn't
stuff
Poland,
like that. Poland
pretty right wing.
I think
or
Poland,
strict with like refugees.
And I think Hungary as well as well.
Yeah.
At the moment. And some other countries like they're rising with the and the Netherlands just recently elected a right wing leader. Out of all places, the Netherlands. Yeah, and everyone's so shocked that but I think it's become to that point where like, especially I think with the housing crisis in the Netherlands and especially Amsterdam, people are coming to that like decision having to vote for right wing.
Yeah.
But then there's also some people that are just like racist.
Yeah.
So
You have to make sure you pick the right person.
Yeah. So enough about refugees in Europe. After Salzburg, which we actually spent time with family friends that were in Salzburg at the same time.
You guys have friends everywhere.
No, but we planned it. Okay. They live not like 5 minute drive from us.
Oh.
But like we grew up with them. They're like
Okay.
our family friends. And we planned to be in Christmas in Salzburg together, and that was really good. We went to a castle and we had dinner, and we watched a Mozart concert. So that was really
With the real Mozart?
no, he's dead. And then we had, and that was really good. No, I only knew one song, the most famous one. I don't know how to. I'm not really good with music, but you'll know when you hear it.
Yeah.
I think it's called Four Seasons.
Oh.
Yeah. That's the only song I knew, and that was pretty good.
Same.
Yeah. And after being in Salzburg, we said goodbye to the mountains, and we went back up to Dusseldorf, or Dusseldorf in English, Dusseldorf in German. And we stayed a couple nights there, which was actually really good. I think that was probably the best city in Dusseldorf is the best city in that region, a lot better than Cologne. And we did it. I'm trying to remember. We went up to the sky tree. I don't know if it's called a sky tree, but you have a view of the entire like region, and it shows like where all the city is, and yeah.
Okay.
And it's like 300 meters tall, I think.
Wow. So that's taller than Eureka Tower.
I don't know if it's that tall. I don't think it's taller than Eureka Tower. But it's the tallest building in the city by far.
Okay.
So you can see all the lands around, and it's pretty good.
Wait, so is it like in Sydney they have the eye thing? They have it's like a white tower with like a platform.
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Exactly like that.
Okay.
Seems like almost every big city has one.
Yeah.
Especially in Germany and Austria. And from there we went to see friends in a town not too far from Dortmund. It's like a 40-minute drive from Dortmund. And we stayed near them for like a week, and we just went. They showed us around like their kind of like area. We went ice skating, and we went to this like cave in the mountains, and we got like this clean mineral water, which is really it actually tasted really nice.
Yeah.
And after a week, my parents went home while I stayed for 2 weeks. I stayed with them for 2 weeks.
Okay.
I even went to German school with my friend. It was a struggle waking up at 6 a.m. But it was really good. I helped out with the English class.
Oh, cool.
And I even joined in with a sport class and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And at that point, the snow finally arrived, and for like half the time I was there, it was like really snowy. Not heaps of snow, but like enough to pick up a snowball and throw it at someone.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. Yeah, even made a small snowman. And then the nature was just really good. Like there's trees everywhere in this part, because it's not rural. It's sort of countryside, but like not super.
Okay.
Because like in Europe you're more tight, and a bit more compacted
Yeah.
than say Australia.
Yeah.
Lots of large space. And from there, and I also trained with him, lifting, running, and that was quite fun. And I met a whole bunch of new people from your school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which was quite fun. And their English is quite good. Like they all spoke to me in English. Because
Most of Europe, because they all learn English at school.
Yeah. And that was quite nice. I'm still in contact with some. Like I don't text them, but like, I'm still in contact with them online. So after that,
Where did you end your trip?
that's where I ended my trip with them, and then
Dortmund.
near Dortmund in their town in there. It's called Arnsberg.
Okay.
And it's actually pretty decent. Like I don't know if you could call it a city. I'd say a large town. And like it's just taking the bus to school. You can like see all the hills, and it's just so good. and the autobahn runs through it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Quite near it, so like you can see the autobahn on the hill.
Did you go into the autobahn?
I did, but I did not drive because
Yeah.
didn't have my license. I still don't.
Yeah.
But my friend drove and he got up to like 150 kilometers per hour. But a lot
That's
of the
right.
time it was quite slippery on the road, so we couldn't go super fast. So he went like 100, 110, which is still very fast. But like compared to our roads, their roads are really good.
Yeah.
They're so smooth and they're quite wide as well, so you can go a lot faster.
That's
and
good.
you can just like, you got one random guy that speeds past you at 200 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
Which was really fun. And we did a whole bunch of stuff like on the weekends, and I went to a trained at an indoor track in Paderborn, which is like just over an hour train ride. And I went to this place called Castle, which had a castle. And that was a really fun day trip. And I met a few people, different people, just from getting out of my comfort zone and talking to them, which I was trying to work on, because that's why I was by myself, to try and meet new people and stuff like that. And now, to be honest, I was probably quite awkward, but I was working on it. Yeah.
You can fake being brave, and then it's actual bravery.
Exactly. Fake confidence, and then you'll get it. And I also going to Castle for a day trip, which is like on the first or second week I was with them. I got stuck in a random train station for an hour because I missed my connecting train, which was really annoying. So I just was in the waiting area inside with some random German people that just spoke German. I'm just standing there with my just English and like, yeah, cool guys. Which it was actually quite relaxing, because like nobody really cared that I just didn't speak German.
Yeah.
And I think it was for half a week, the Deutsche Bahn, which is the German train company, they were on a strike, so I couldn't do half the things I wanted to, because my friend's mum was always working, so like she's gonna be busy.
Did you see the strike in most of Europe, the farmers?
Yeah, we saw farmers protesting in the city center or the town center, and they like had tractors and were just going around the town center with like these signs in German. I was like, oh, to my friend, what does this say? What does this say?
I saw a video in France of did I tell you?
I think you said
shooting manure into the police station.
I saw it, and it just the whole thing is brown. And it's so funny, and they're causing absolute mayhem. I don't know if it's still going on.
Me neither.
But
what was it for again? Because they don't get paid?
Well, in Germany, I was told that it was because they get like discounts a lot. I think they get discounts for a lot of stuff because they need to use it for work, like petrol with like tractors and stuff. I was told that's like an example. But apparently they're getting like rid of some of the discounts, and like basically meaning that a lot of people are going to start losing a lot of money because they have to use a few resources to keep production going. Yeah. And they're putting the food on plates of like people. The entire country. Like you got to help them out a bit. But I don't know much. I'm not well researched with it, so
doesn't matter. We can relax. Like no one's going to listen to this. Maybe my dad.
Or my family, maybe.
Yeah.
And then after Arnsberg, I took a 2-hour train ride to Düsseldorf, because that's where my flight was. So I started to head home, and it was still lots of snow everywhere, which was pretty good. It was starting to melt a little, but it was just a good experience to like have all my backpacking gear with me, because we had backpacks, not suitcases, so I looked like a real tourist. Like I had a huge backpack out the front that's attached around my hips and my shoulders and my chest, and then a small backpack at the front. And then I also have a fanny pack around my shoulder as well, inside my jacket.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I was I could do some squats right there, and I'd probably get lots of gains.
Yeah.
And it was quite fun. It was like 2 hours, I think, maybe an hour 30. It was quite relaxing, like being by myself, like no family, like there to ask me questions or anything, like just talk to me, and like I'm like responsible for myself, and I actually felt like an adult for the
We're
first
getting
time.
old.
Yeah, getting old. 18 years old.
Yeah.
And that was quite fun.
Yeah.
And I to be honest, the worst thing like being in a German train station is someone like stands right next to you, starts smoking or vaping.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was sitting down. Some woman sat next to me. I was like, oh, she seems quite nice, and then she like pulls out a vape.
Is it also like part of the culture in
Yeah.
Germany to smoke?
Oh, I got to tell you about when I went to German school.
Yeah.
You've got kids like in the break, 20 of the older kids that just walk to a few minutes outside the front school gates.
Yeah.
And then just smoking.
Yeah.
And it's like right underneath an elderly home as well. And you can see from going out the door outside, you can see them smoking.
Yeah.
But the teachers bat a blind eye because they have their own area to smoke as well.
I had the same experience when I was in France for 10 months going to school. And it was like clouds of smoke before you can get into the school.
It's terrible. I think France probably a bit worse though.
Yeah. My cousins who live in France, they're coming here for maybe a year. And they were surprised that nobody here was smoking. Like they started smoking in the city, and like people were like looking at them because it's not normal. It's not part of their culture.
Not part of our culture, but it's part of theirs. But our government has done a pretty good job with like the health. Yeah, like they've made cigarettes super expensive.
Oh, in England, isn't there? Or maybe it was New Zealand.
I think it might have been New Zealand. They're like banning it or something like that.
Yeah.
They actually like from
anybody who's not smoking yet cannot smoke
ever. Yeah.
Ever.
But
the
I feel
people
like
who are smoking can smoke till they die.
But it's actually terrible. And I think Australia is like, didn't they ban vapes or something? I don't know. I don't think they banned it, but like they put restrictions.
I think nicotine vapes.
Yeah, something like that. Because we have a pretty big issue. Like when we were in high school, like last year.
Yeah. We're not that old.
Yeah, not that old.
I think nicotine vapes are illegal.
Yeah, it was just terrible. Like you'd go into the bathroom, you just go around the corner to the urinals, and you got 4 people vaping right there. Just had to hold your breath going into the toilet. Yeah, it was terrible. Anyways, back to the trip in Düsseldorf. Got on the flight. It was quite relaxed. The first flight was so good. It was 6 hours, I think, from Düsseldorf to Doha, and I had a whole row to myself.
On
the plane. Yeah, on the plane, I had a whole row to myself, and they're actually good. It was a really modern plane. Like they didn't have the window shutters. You just press a button, and the window goes black or it goes tinted, like tanned. But I was in like a row seat, like in the middle.
Oh, okay. So you couldn't go to
No, I couldn't.
But there was no one there.
Yeah, I was just watching movies.
Yeah.
But and then someone like halfway through the flight wanted to sit on the other side of the row, because they wanted more space. Because I was like, oh yeah, sure, I don't really care. I was just sitting watching a movie. Didn't bother me.
It's crazy how you remember so much.
Yeah,
like, the tiniest detail. Jahil was telling me how like he has a really bad memory because he hasn't been stimulating his brain with anything.
Yeah, with school
after school.
Yeah. Isn't he going to uni this year though?
Yeah, he got accepted to Melbourne Uni, but he switched to RMIT because he thinks that's better for
his career and stuff.
Engineering.
Oh, engineering?
He's doing biomedical.
Is RMIT rated higher in engineering than Melbourne Uni?
I'm not sure. They're one of the best RMIT in engineering, but
where are you?
Yeah. He's starting in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind
I started 2 weeks ago.
That's early for you or late for him?
I think it's normal for him, but early for me. Because it depends on the degree that you're doing. Back to your story. But
with the stimulus stuff, because I'm taking a gap year, I decided to do a 120 hour course for teaching English as a foreign language, TEFL.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about that as well.
I leave that to later. But stimulating my brain a bit.
Yeah.
Like I'm just doing it when school is on, when my brother goes to school and stuff like that.
So you started that?
I have started that. I'm
Okay.
almost 2/5 through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you'll be done.
I'll be
soon.
done probably in a month, less maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see, because I have to do all these like assignments. Sometimes they can be a bit,
Yeah.
and I procrastinate a little bit. So
Not
yeah.
even at school anymore, and you start procrastinating.
Yeah. But I'll definitely start working once I get back from my next trip in Amsterdam.
Yes. So tell me about that. Or tell me, finish.
I'll finish.
Yeah.
So 6 hours landing in Doha. Doha is like the best airport you'll ever go to. There's like this light rail on like the second story, and it goes through every what's it called? They got like 100 where your flight goes off. I forgot the name. What am I? My mind's gone blank.
What? Wait, what are you trying to say?
Where you go, you gate. It goes to all the hundreds of gates that there are.
Okay.
There's like 200 gates or something in the Doha airport, and they're making more right now.
Wow.
And that, it was just so crazy. Like I was fine with walking because, to be honest, I was sitting down a long time.
Yeah.
Like, my legs were,
And
my back was tired.
Wait, you're with your family, right?
At this point, no, because they had already gone back for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, so that's what you meant before. Yeah. So they left, but your brother was...
My brother was also with them, so he
Okay.
was an only child for 2 weeks. Flying without any parents by yourself was actually
And you were
pretty...
an orphan.
Yeah,
for
I was
2
an
weeks.
orphan. Actually, I was an adult. Thank you very much. I was an adult.
Yes, yeah.
They called me sometimes, you know. But flying by yourself was actually a pretty good experience. I did it once, going to the Gold Coast, like when I was like 12, and that was pretty fun. But actually being an adult is pretty good. Like they gave me the gluten-free meal because my mom put gluten-free down for me. And like you can just watch all these movies you want, all these TV shows, all these languages as well. Yeah. And you've like, there's so many different people and cultures in one plane.
How long was the flight?
So the first flight was 6 hours, just over. And then the second flight was like 13, 14. Yeah.
I know, because I go to France.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about the same.
It's that, to be honest, that's kind of like torture right there. Because like you can see the map.
Yeah.
This was on a slightly older version of the plane. So there was less movies, less TV shows, and you actually had the shutters on the window, which is kind of annoying. You got like one person that opens the window, and it's the whole so bright.
Yeah.
And you can just see on the map, you're like, it takes like 5 hours to get past to India, and then you just on the Indonesian coast for like, which seems like forever. And then once you get to Australia, you still got like 4 more hours. Like you just got desert and desert for the entire time, basically.
Yeah.
It is so annoying. And I was getting so antsy, and like every like 30 minutes I had to stand up and like stretch my legs and my back because
they're not the most comfortable seats.
No.
For 13 hours.
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of found something new about myself is that I struggled to sleep sitting. Like I really struggled. Yeah. So for the first flight and the second, when going to France, to Europe, I think I got like 2 hours total sleep in like 36 hours. So that's probably why I got sick. And then on the second and coming home, I think I got like 2 or 3 hours total sleep. It was not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all.
Hopefully, we'll be able to take a rocket ship up and then back down.
Maybe, or teleportation.
Yeah.
One
or
day.
teleportation, yeah.
Yeah. But to be honest, it's worth it though.
Yeah.
It's worth it because especially when you're going overseas to another place.
Especially Australia is really different to Europe.
Yeah, it's...
If you go from a European country to another European country, there'll be some differences, but there's such a big difference.
Yeah.
With,
the main thing would probably be language and maybe the architecture and maybe some of the culture, you know.
Yeah.
And then arriving home, it was pretty good. I had to get through customs, which is actually really easy because I'm an Australian citizen. So it's just like
For me, when it was COVID, when I came back from my 10 months, it was so weird. Like there was so many things to so many checks.
Yeah.
And then after I had to take a bus, I was the only one in a whole bus. I sat all the way in the back. It was really awkward. And they brought me to a hotel.
Did you have to
stay at for 2 weeks?
You stayed at the hotel for 2 weeks?
Yeah. In the room, you can't leave.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you didn't even have COVID?
I didn't have COVID. It was just the
precautions.
rules. Yeah.
Where I had to do all these things when we got onto into Australia, flying above Australia, we had to sign all these things, not being on a farm and not having any food with you, if you've been to Indonesia in the past 2 weeks. So that was pretty handy that my parents told me to have a pen with me.
Yeah.
And when I arrived, it took 2 hours from getting on the plane to get through because I had to go through security, and then I had to go get my bag, then I had to go through customs. But really, customs is so easy because if you've not got anything to declare and you're an Australian citizen, then you just go straight through basically.
Yeah.
And my dad was waiting for me there, and it was pretty good to be reunited with my family when I got home.
Yeah.
So that's my
nice.
November, December, January Europe trip.
3 months.
Well, not exactly 3 months because I got there at the end of November and I left mid-January, so it was 8 weeks.
Okay.
So
it's 2 months.
But yeah, basically 2 months.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, actually a week under 2 months. Yeah.
Okay. Now we can relax because it felt like an interview. Me asking questions, you have to answer.
But I have more things. I'm going to Amsterdam.
You're going to Amsterdam.
I'm
Why?
leaving. Why? Well,
another holiday.
But it's quite spontaneous because so I was talking about how I saw extended family in Amsterdam. I messaged the husband, it's my mum's uncle's third cousin or something.
Okay. It's very extended.
And I was asking because his second language is Dutch. And at this point I was struggling because I had given up German.
Yeah.
And I was basically started doing Spanish because I was I had been, remember when I was learning French? I was Spanish should be easy because the pronunciation is easier than French. And I did that for a couple of weeks. I was I'm not really liking this. So I talked to him about learning Dutch. Does he have any tips? And he talked about some tips. And then at the end, he was you're always welcome to stay with us. I'm bet I'm gonna come.
Imagine you were just being nice. You can stay with us anytime, and you're anytime. Okay, I'm coming.
Yeah, exactly. And I was damn, I'm looking at flights right now, and I think I booked 1 week later.
Wow. Okay.
And it was actually kind of cheap. It was 1,800 round trip in Etihad Airways.
Wow. Okay. Compared to
Qatar was 2.4k round trip. This was 1,800 round trip.
Yeah. And staying in the country is going to help you so much.
Yeah, I'm doing at the moment 4 hours Dutch listening per day.
Yeah.
Because I'm a baby is basically getting 10 hours of listening per day because the parents are always talking to it and stuff like that.
Yes, let's talk about that. Your language learning career.
Yeah.
So what did you start with?
What I started with was Portuguese.
Yeah.
It was 2022, end of 2022, I think.
Okay. Okay, so it's been 2 years since you've been.
Two and a half. The end of 2022. So it's 2024 now.
So 1 year.
So basically 1 year and a few months, I would say.
So not consistently learning many languages.
Yeah. So basically, started Portuguese, I'd say November 2022. Because yeah.
And then you went to Spanish or French?
I went to French.
Yeah.
Because of you. Because I was I can practice French quite easily.
Yeah.
And it sounds pretty cool. Everyone loves women love French speakers, you know. They're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you speak French.
Yeah.
Um, and I was actually doing quite good with that, I would say. Like, I was having like beginner conversations with you.
Yeah.
All right. But then,
Then
I don't know. I was like, I don't even know why I think I went to German, but I kind of like had a bit of a break for a few months because like all my kidney issues, the kidney surgeries. And then after like July, August, that's when I really started getting into German, 2023. And I was stuck at that for like 4 or 5 months, and I was getting decent, but the sentence structure and the grammar,
yeah,
it just like it killed my brain.
it's really different to
It's
English
like the sense, yeah,
conjugations and everything.
yeah. It's just I couldn't handle it. The one thing that was good with French was like the sentence structure was basically the same. There was just like the adjectives and the nouns were like swapped around. The one thing that was the hardest thing with French was maybe the pronunciation. I feel like I got through that. Like it was kind of tough, but wasn't the hardest. But was the verb conjugations, because you got like 1 million of them or something. And I'm not really good at sitting down and studying like all the verb conjugations. I think that's probably one of the reasons I gave up, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think I'll definitely take it up eventually.
So then you went to German?
To German, yep. Because my friend from Germany, I really wanted to speak to him in German.
Yeah.
And I knew I would be in German-speaking countries for a long time in Europe. I think that's one of the main things. But to be honest, I wasted half a year because I didn't even speak German in Germany that much, because I was just at that point I had given up.
Yeah. And now Dutch.
Now Dutch.
And you're sticking to this
I'm
one.
actually going to stick to this. The reason why is because I got inspired by my grandmother. Because I am half Dutch.
Yeah.
My grandmother gave me a whole bunch of Dutch books that she's giving away.
Okay.
And that really inspired me because she still remembers a bit of it. Like because she was born there. She was born in Amsterdam. And she spoke Dutch till she was like 6 or 7, I think. She moved quite young to the Melbourne. But she said she still remembers, like, if I started speaking to her in Dutch, it would like all come back to her. That's what she said.
Okay.
And also because I want to eventually maybe move to the Netherlands. Just because.
Nice country.
Yeah, and I don't really want to like Melbourne's good and all, but like the way it's going, we're gonna have like 50 million people in Australia in the next 20 years or something. We're already got our roads are already stuffed up with like the freeway. You got car accidents, and it takes 2 hours to get into, or an hour and a half to get into the city.
And the Westgate Tunnel has been going for so long, and it's mucking up all the.
Not many people are going to use it anyways. There's only trucks that are going through, and like,
really, okay,
like most people are not probably going to use it. It's not the best.
We have the Westgate Bridge. I don't understand why.
They just need more. Like they should just have a lot of. Only essential trucks need to be driving over the bridge. Like you should just have like. There's so many people driving into the city that could be taking public transport. Yeah. Like every day, they're doing their 9 to 5s. Yeah. But like when you get trains in peak hour, it's full. Yeah. Like it's crazy. So there probably needs to be more. I don't know if they do more trains in peak hour. I don't actually know. Me neither. But more public transport facilities. I know a few people do bike to work. My dad used to bike to work. Yeah. It depends because like there's the distance. Yeah, distances can be quite tough because so many people live in the suburbs in the west and in the east and riding to work. We need more mixed use areas like housing and work. Yeah. Like the Netherlands, you got like, well, it's a lot more tightly compacted than Melbourne. Yeah. But like to some extent, you know, we need that. Yeah. Yeah. Back to the language. Language. Dutch, hopefully, you know, I really want my kids to be bilingual. I know it's like probably like 10 years away, but like I'm pretty sure people who are bilingual have an advantage in learning. A huge advantage with like work opportunities and all that stuff. Work opportunities as well, yeah. Yeah. So what are the strategies that you learned while learning? Well, strategies to learn.
How do you learn?
Well, I always hated studying. I absolutely hated. And I think I spent like, with French and German, I spent a lot of time researching the best way to learn a language.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are doing like the old traditional way. You get your cue cards, you go to classes, got a course book, and you're writing things down. I hated that method because I don't want to spend a lot of money, and I don't want to be writing things down because like when you're talking to people, you're not looking at your notes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I found this guy called Stephen Krashen, and he is like the best language learning linguist in the entire world ever.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about language acquisition by calling it comprehensible input. So it's like what's comprehensible to you, and that input is speaking or no, not speaking, listening and watching videos or reading.
Yeah.
And he talks about how you should be listening to things like even if you know 10 to 20%. Oh wait, I'll just go back a second.
Yeah.
The main thing he talks about is how we learn languages through understanding meaning.
Yeah.
So
if you look at a word like hello and bonjour, like knowing the translation, is that for me that would sound bad because you want to think in the other language.
Yeah, that's true. You
don't want to say hello translated into French.
Yeah, I would say that I think you start thinking language more when you start getting to like the intermediate levels.
Okay.
Because I know my friend in Germany.
Yeah.
He learns English at school, and he because he's half Australian because he's come to Australia to speak and all that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. He's done the normal way of studying, but he's also got a lot of practice going like into a situation where he has to speak English. He said that he's starting to think more in English now that he understands the language more. So I think thinking in the language comes naturally as you become more advanced with it.
Okay.
So I don't think you need to struggle like, I got to think in the language like straight away. Like I think at the beginner like level doesn't really matter that much. Like you can try, but like it's not something that's too serious.
And I guess immersing yourself with English speakers or whatever language.
Yeah, exactly.
Is important.
And
so who was the guy you were talking about?
Stephen Krashen.
Stephen Krashen.
Yeah. P-H-E-N. Yeah, instead of V.
Okay.
And he talks about we understand language through meaning, understanding the meaning.
Yeah.
So you don't have to know every single word in a sentence, but if you can figure, half the words, you can figure out like the meaning.
Sense.
Yeah. But at the start, it can be a bit tough because you need to find resources that fit your level. Yeah. So at some points, you are going to have to search up words to translate them. Like you're just going to have to. But
so let's say I'm reading a book in Spanish and I'm reading and there's a word that I don't know. I can understand it through context.
You can, yeah, exactly. Context.
And that's how I learn.
But if you don't know a word, it's not about memorization. It's about like understand, like
like anything that you learn.
Because memorization is not how you learn. Like it's not efficient at all. Like there's been research how students that learn a language through memorization, which takes a lot more effort. It might be a bit shorter versus using comprehensible input. Yeah. The comprehensible input students are able to use the language way more efficiently and have to think a lot less. Yeah. Okay. I don't know the source for that, but that's that's from Stephen Krashen.
I think it's the same with anything that you learn.
Yeah. And also depends what kind of learner you are. Like for me, I would say I'm probably a visual learner. Yeah. Like I love to like just watch a video or listen to a video is a bit more difficult, but like I could still listen to like a podcast. Like on the way here, I was listening to a Dutch podcast to get up to that 4 hours of listening per day.
I think watching and then doing to consolidate is the best. Is the best way to learn.
And you can also try and as good as possible to have an immersion bubble in your own home. Like you can change the language on your phone and your laptop to Dutch.
Have you done that?
I have the Dutch keyboard, so when I'm writing Dutch, it's so much easier. It also helps with like autocorrect and stuff like that. And also when I write a word, and then you know how it's got the 3 words that suggested what's next.
Yeah.
That can also help me learn a few new words as well. Not much though. And then using apps to talk to random people in Dutch or your target language. That's like the best way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you like actually become friends with a random person on the internet, and like you have a call with them, and then you're like already learning Dutch. Because I think the best way is like speaking to native speakers.
Yeah.
As well. Like even if you might just a beginner, they're gonna teach you new words. They're gonna teach you grammar just from speaking to you.
And it's a lot different to if you're trying to learn it by reading or in lessons, because you'd learn like the slang or like
You
what's
learn
more
spoken.
spoken. Yeah.
Spoken
Dutch or spoken.
I found that what confused me a lot when I was learning French for like a couple months was that I was learning textbook French, not spoken French.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a bit of a difference. Yeah. Like there's a difference between a single word by itself and then when it's in a phrase. Like even for us with English, like, and like this also has to deal with accents and I think it's phonology, the way like words sound and stuff like that.
The letters.
Or
something. Yeah.
It sounds different, but when it's just a word by itself.
Phonetic alphabet.
Yeah, phonetics. That's it. And I was learning that only a couple of days ago on my TEFL course, and I forgot what I was saying. With the phonetics, how a word sounds different when it's in just a word by itself or when it's in a phrase.
Yeah.
And that can also play a part in why there's a difference between textbook and written, like French or English, or spoken.
Do you know the phonetic alphabet, or do you use it at all?
No, I only just learned like the table. I just saw the table like a few days ago.
Okay.
But I'll definitely learn it in my university course that I'll be doing next year because I'm taking a gap year.
We can talk about that.
Yeah, sure.
So you're taking a gap year, and so it's still the plan to what uni?
La Trobe
Uni to learn
linguistics.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going to take me, but like it's like
it's your
favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite interest at the moment, other than running and training.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
what is linguistics? Course. You don't learn a specific language. You learn how languages
are. You can take
are.
language though as a major, I think.
Okay.
They don't have Dutch there, which is pretty disappointing. They do have Spanish, so I might take that eventually. But linguistics is the science of language.
Okay.
So it's the study of how language works in your brain, how it sounds, how we perceive it, and all that.
Would you learn about the history of language?
You would, like that's etymology, like the history of words.
Okay. Etymology.
Yeah.
Okay. My dad often is thinking of a word and he's trying to find like the roots of it.
Yeah.
But,
like with Latin and Greek, like the history of words.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll be doing that next year, 2025. That's a 3-year course.
Yeah.
And gap year. I think I just made a few goals for myself to start working, but I didn't want to work in just like in retail or something. I wanted to I'm going to be teaching English students online.
Yeah. So during your gap year, right now you're learning, you're getting your certificate
for the teaching English as a foreign language.
Yeah. And you're doing that online?
Yeah, doing that online. And I'm also wanting to take a gap year also to focus on my training.
Yeah. So we can talk about that as well.
Yeah. With my training, 100 meter sprinting, 200 sometimes. And I was actually going to compete in Europe for the 60 meters indoors. I've never done that before.
When you were on holidays or?
Yeah, when I was on holidays. Okay. But because I had 2 surgeries like 2 weeks before I went to Europe. I wasn't ready to run properly and I got really sick. So I had not a lot of training time.
Yeah.
But But I really want to like focus on that.
So it's important for running to stay consistent.
Yeah, very consistent. You got to be like
So
quite
can
consistent.
if you take a week off or 2 weeks off, can you lose a lot of progress or?
You can lose a bit. For sprinting, it's probably a bit worse.
But can you gain it back faster?
You can gain it back faster because you've been at a higher point.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say it's really important to be consistent with your training. So, like you can miss one session, that's all right. You're not really going to lose anything.
Mm-hmm.
But once it comes, because like for me, it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. If I miss like a Thursday, it's Tuesday, Saturday, it's not really going to mean anything. But if I then miss a Saturday, I've missed a whole week of training, and it's going to take me one session to get back used to the track. And because for sprinting, your tendons and your muscles are being really stretched, and they're really...
So it must be really bad to be in a plane for so long.
Yeah, that's also quite tough, especially when you can't sleep much.
Yeah.
Usually when you're sitting down for so long, you have to take... One session has to be a really light shakeout session to really get your muscles and everything moving again.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really put too much load into it because then you can get injured or something like that.
Okay. So what's the end goal, or like the goal with your running?
For my running,
or is it just like fitness, or?
It's ever since I was young, ever since I was 4 when I started running,
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to go to the Olympics.
Okay. So is that your plan? The next Olympics?
Not the Paris Olympics coming up.
Oh, not these ones.
The next one
the
in
ones
Los
after.
Angeles.
Yeah.
Yes. The Commonwealth Games, if they're on 2026. But at the moment, my closest goal is the World Uni Games next year in 2025, which is in Germany. I was wanting to go to the World Junior Under 20 Athletics Champs,
Mm-hmm.
which are this year in August. But with all my kidney surgeries and going to Europe and not being able to train from being sick and being quite not inconsistent, but like unable to train due to recovery, I wasn't really able to get up to stand. And at the moment, I actually tore my hamstring last week.
Oh.
But I'm already back to running a bit.
Okay.
But I have a tape on my leg and
So
stuff.
you have to be careful.
I do have to be
injury
careful.
and stuff.
But it's my physio said takes 15 days from when it's torn. It's only a small. It's like the best kind of tear. You don't want a tear, but like it's the best one you want if you do have a tear.
Yeah.
It's 15 days to get back to 90% of your.
Is it a
max
common?
speed. It's. I don't know if it's common, but hamstring tears are very common in sprinting.
Yeah, you're
very
using
common.
your hamstrings
a
most.
lot. And it kind of was a bit of a wake-up call a little, that I need to be focusing on some aspects of my training, like my hamstrings, a bit more than I actually was. But other than that, to be honest, injuries are just another way of... they're another way of getting better and stronger because they show you where your weaknesses are and what you need to work on. So you get better with that, then you're going to run faster times when you come back and are all healthy. So, yeah. And I would also say that I feel a lot more confident in coming back to training, even though I only took like 1 week off from running, is that I've come back from things that are 10 times worse. Like from my kidney surgeries, I had like 3 months of no running.
Yeah.
No sprinting. And I got back to a pretty good point. So I was quite happy with that. So I know I can come back to this as well.
So wait, how old will you be for the Olympics?
The Olympics are in 2028. So I'll be 4 years from now.
23? 22?
I'll be 22. But yeah, I'll be 22 because I'm December.
Okay.
December baby.
Yeah. And what's your running time? When you're 22, is there a subcategory for under 23s?
So there is in Europe there is under 23 category. So they're like the under 18, under 20, and under 23 European champs, all separate.
Okay. And the above as well.
And above is just open.
Yeah.
But then you got old people like.
Oh, so you could compete in those as well, but.
I can't. Well, at the moment I'm under 20, but this is my last year as under 20.
Yeah.
But I can't really race because the season is about to finish. And
are they qualifying? rounds?
There are qualifying rounds. So are you talking about the Olympics or
Yeah.
for the Olympics?
Because do you compete in other competitions?
I'll have to compete at the Australian Nationals,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll basically have to come top 2 basically, or top 4 if I want to make relay. Top 6 probably.
Wow.
But you
And
also
how many runners are there?
in like the whole
If you're saying top six out of what?
out of the amount of sprinters is probably like over 50, but like
Wow.
some of them are just like amateurs. Some of them probably. The thing is, Australian sprinting is not that good.
Okay.
We only probably have like I think 5 or 6 maybe that are sponsored.
Mm-hmm.
The rest aren't. So it's quite tough for a lot of Australian sprinters out there.
Yeah.
But for the Olympics, there's competitions throughout the year in the season where people go to Europe, they go to America to run fast times.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've run, the Olympic standard at the moment is 10 seconds flat, which is very fast.
Standard.
Yeah, the standard to qualify without.
Okay. So you need to do 10 or
you-
faster to
You don't
qualify.
have to. You can also go through the national, like the. It's really confusing process. There's also like a point system as well. If you get enough points, like through winning competitions and stuff, you can also qualify. It's really weird. And then you can go through, like if you're running pretty decent times and you go through the Nationals of Australia, you can also qualify.
Will you do the when are you going to do that?
Well, I can't do it because you have to run states to go to nationals, and states are this weekend. But I can't because I've nowhere near.
Are they every year?
Yeah, they're every
Once a
year.
year?
Once a year,
Okay.
usually in February, end of February, and nationals are usually in April. So
Okay.
I'm going to Amsterdam during nationals because everyone will be competing at nationals.
Mm-hmm.
While I'll just be starting my winter training because in Amsterdam I'll be lifting weights and going for jogs and training like probably 6 or 7 times a week.
So every day.
Yeah, basically every day. But not like sometimes I might do a double session and then take a day off because I might want to do some overnight trips somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's why this is the last time I can travel in April.
Okay. Can you compete in states and then you qualify for that, and then compete in nationals, but years later?
No,
Has to be the same year.
same year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's qualifying rounds at nationals for like the slower people,
Mm-hmm.
not as like quick people. And then there's heats where all the fast people come through, then semis, and then the final. And usually it's really like it's a really tense race because usually it's like it's almost a dead heat. There's only like one person that's very fast named Rowan Browning, and he usually wins all of it. And then the rest are not too far behind, but there's a whole bunch of them that are really close. So it's really tense to especially when there's an Olympic spot up for grabs. It will be very tense. So it will be a good race in April.
What's your time right
now? At the moment, I can run around 10:7.
Okay. What's your best overall?
That's
10:7.
Yeah, 10:7.
And you can run that now?
Well, not right now with my hamstring.
With the injury, but before that?
Yeah, before that, I was in the best form of my life, like before going to Europe and like.
Okay.
But
before the
best form of my life because I'm still
yeah,
getting older.
You're getting better and better.
Yeah. But I'll definitely with a good because I've had so much inconsistent months of training with surgeries this winter. I'll be able to get heaps better hopefully, and I'll be running a good time to go to World Unis. Oh, and there's also Australian Uni Champs as well.
Okay.
Because that's what I have to. It's not the actual. It's like separate to the normal nationals.
Wait, so you do states and then you can go to nationals or the
for uni games. It just goes straight to nationals.
Okay. Wait.
So if you have to represent your university there.
Okay.
So it's different. That's club. For like going to the Olympics, you go to states and then nationals.
Yeah.
But for some really fast people, you can also be invited.
Huh.
You don't have to run at states.
Okay.
But it's like if you're very fast.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you train, do you do a sprint like as fast as you can every time you train?
In summer, it's basically like you could be slightly below top speed, like 90 to 95% if you're doing like a 200-meter sprint for training, or 150. And then some days we do like block starts, which you'll be training basically full speed, but you won't get up to full speed because you're only going 30 or 40 meters, because usually people hit top speed at like 60 or 70. Some people even 80.
And it's better to get to top speed at 60 or as soon as possible.
It really depends on the type of body you are, like type of person you are. Because some people with my favorite sprinter, Su Bingchen, Asian sprinter, he's very short.
Yeah.
He's like 5'7", 5'8". And all the sprinters are like 6'1", 6'2".
And you are 6 foot?
Yeah,
Okay.
183, yeah. And for him, he doesn't have a huge stride length. He has really fast stride frequency because he's got smaller legs than everyone. So he can really move his legs very fast. So he can hit top speed probably at like 50 meters.
Okay.
But he can accelerate super fast.
Yeah.
But he's the fastest accelerator ever. He's faster than Usain Bolt in accelerating.
Wow.
Only just, but then
Is Usain Bolt still the record holder?
He still has the world record. But for the 60-meter split in a 100, Su Bingchen is faster than Usain Bolt by 2 milliseconds. But then Usain Bolt would just pass him if they raced each other, because Usain Bolt's strength is his top end speed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. I don't know there were so many variables.
There's so many, speed is stride rate times stride frequency times stride length.
Okay.
So you need to have a good match between both. And usually Usain Bolt, the reason why Usain Bolt is so fast is because he's 6'5". He's got a huge stride length, but he can move like he's 6 foot.
Very quickly. Yeah.
He can move very quickly. That's why he's super fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
For so you said for nationals you need to do states in the same year.
Yeah.
But for when you do, if you complete nationals, any year before the Olympics, can you go to the Olympics?
I don't think so. You have to compete at that nationals. But the thing with Australia is our nationals are in April, and usually the Olympics are like July. So there's a few months between. So you don't actually know who's the best athlete when it comes to the Olympics. That's why America's really good. They do it like a week or 2 weeks before. Okay. And then you're selected by the Australian Athletics Committee or whatever. It's all like paperwork and all this like confusing stuff that I don't really know much about.
Are you going to try and compete for states and nationals every year until the Olympics?
Yeah, I will. Just because you like to peak for an event, and usually it's nationals. Because that's like the biggest event there is for us at the moment, because you're not really training to go overseas just yet. But I think I definitely will, hopefully, if I become professional, to go overseas. That's what a lot do.
Is there any other competitions other than nationals that's other than Olympics that's higher than nationals?
The World Champs is pretty big. But in Australia...
Is that every 4 years as well? Or
2, I think. I think it's every 2. But we had it continue 2 years in a row because of COVID. We had it in 22 and then 23. But you got like World Indoor Champs the next year. So we got World Indoor Champs like soon, I think, in the next month or so, which is different events. We call it short track. They recently changed the name. Excuse me. And for Australia, we don't have a big athletics scene. Like we have a few events, like recently in like last week or the week before, we had the Maury Plant Meet, which is in Melbourne, and you probably had like 5,000 people watching.
Oh wow.
Maybe, probably 5,000. Lakeside Stadium, which is at Albert Park in Melbourne.
My brother goes to that school, Albert Park. Well, goes to a school in Albert Park. Albert Park. Yeah.
And that's probably like the biggest athletics event in Australia, because not as many people go to watch the nationals.
Okay, but it's more difficult to get to nationals.
Yeah, because you gotta go through all the heats. Usually they're
Yeah.
just like the hand-picked athletes. Like the best will be
Okay.
able to run it, like Maury Plan meet, and then you got like Sydney Track Classic, and then you got like a Brisbane meet, and then you have like an Adelaide, and then a Perth meet.
Do you compete in the Melbourne meet?
No, I'm not fast enough yet.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them, they're all adults, so
Okay.
yeah. They're all like basically all of them are professional athletes.
Yeah.
The best in Australia. So that's usually where everyone gets their competition, because we're in the southern hemisphere, it's summer, but it's winter everywhere else.
Yeah.
They're just we can't get outdoor competition basically anywhere else because they're all running indoor while we're running outdoor.
Yeah.
So that's why it's also difficult for us
Mm-hmm.
for sprinters here.
What time do you need to get to be competitive at states and internationals?
For states, it's kind of easier. If you run like 10.5, 10.4, you could probably win it. Maybe 10.3.
Win it like
Win
first,
states.
like first.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the fastest runner in Victoria, Jake Penny, his PB is like 10.1, but at states he ran like 10.3.
Okay.
But for nationals, you're going to have to be running 10.0 something to win,
Okay.
which is not that good since like Americans are running like 9.8.
Yeah. Okay.
And you got a lot of runners running sub 10, and there's like once you get above sub 10, there's a lot of different runners there, so you got to earn your spot by running pretty quick.
What country are the best sprinters?
Probably
Which
America.
country? Okay.
America. They sweeped it in 2022, 1, 2, 3, all America, and it was in America as well, so you could say it was rigged. And then last year, an American won it, and then
Is Jamaica good? Because
Jamaica is good, but they haven't been on the medal tally in the past 2 years.
Oh.
So
Is Usain Bolt still competing?
he's not. He retired 2017.
Okay.
A while ago.
Did he? I know he played at one of the Australian teams.
Yes, he
soccer
did play
teams.
soccer.
Was that after he retired?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they weren't able to get a deal on the salary. I think he wanted a bit.
I think
too
he went
much money.
to one of the German teams as well.
He trained with Dortmund.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, the Marinas or something. I forgot what they're called.
Okay.
Central Marinas or something.
Oh yeah, Central Coast
So yeah, Central Coast. That's where he played for.
Mariners. Yeah.
He brought in a sort of a big crowd, but wasn't that big because I don't know, Australia.
So he was already retired after that.
Yeah,
And then-
and he always wanted, when he was younger, he wanted to be a cricket player, but he also said he loves football or soccer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
So not competing anymore.
No, he's the new Usain Bolt is probably Noah Lyles. He's so good at the moment. He just ran a really fast 60-meter time, which is he ran a 6.43. And he's like a 200-meter runner. So if he's really good at accelerating at the moment and his strength is his top speed, he's probably undefeatable at the moment.
Wow.
I don't know if he'll have the longevity though of Usain Bolt.
Yeah. Because how old was he when he retired?
To be honest, he retired quite kind of early,
Oh, I thought he was
like 33 or something.
Okay.
But it's because he started so early. He came onto the scene as 15.
Oh wow.
He was professional by like 16 or 17, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, so he started really early. There's a thing like there's a lot of track athletes that are really special and they get really early. But there's also a few that, like with any sport, you got people that come in like in their 20s and stuff, which I'm hoping would be like me or something. You know, I'm not an early bird.
So that's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
The sprinting and track, there's so much more in depth than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's and the training has to be so specific as well. It has to be like most of it's fast twitch fibers, like all the lifting, and you have to lift a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
You're gonna be lifting hundreds of kilos very far. Like in the gym, we lift for speed and power, not for like strength, like bodybuilders.
All right.
So yeah.
Do you want to take a break and then we can talk about this?
To be honest, those books I have not read them.
Okay. Well,
So-
it's something to talk about.
Existentialism. It's pretty good.
I've
Jean-Paul Sartre. He's I don't know if I pronounced
Sartre.
that. Sartre. He's French.
yeah.
So.
I have a book as well. I don't know who it's by. It's La thérapie existentielle, existential therapy.
Oh really?
It's in French,
Oh.
and it's a big book, so I don't know if I'll be able to read it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Is that what it's about? Do you know?
I know it's a Jean-Paul Sartre. He is he's pretty popular philosopher with all the a few edgy people, edgy
No.
kids.
Okay.
But like I think he's got a bit of an aesthetic kind of thing, but he's quite popular. And I also like when I was getting into existentialism and like stoicism.
Yeah.
I really wanted to read the book about the myth of Sisyphus. I don't know if I pronounced that right. How rolling the boulder up is all he needs in life. And
That's
then
actually a good topic.
yeah,
If you read that
Yeah, we can do
book
it.
and then you come back
Yeah.
when I invite you next, we can talk about stoicism and
Yeah.
philosophy.
And also about I think Nietzsche. You know, the German philosopher.
No.
Nietzsche. Nietzsche.
I don't know him.
I don't know if it's an actual quote, but he talks about how there's nothing better in life than to strive for basically doing the impossible. Like,
Yeah.
which I think is a pretty good quote, especially in these days and age. Like, instead of just going into the rat race to 9 to 5 and not to sound like an idiot or something. But to just, because you've only got one life, you might as well go for your dreams, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Nice. The other book?
And the other book is about, from the Resilience Project. I actually think the author came into our school in primary school.
Oh. Did he do a TED Talk?
I think he did do a TED Talk.
Yeah, I think I remember that from a TED Talk.
He talked about how he walked across South America. He walked around the world or something.
Okay.
Over like 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. But this is talking about like social media and which is a big topic that I'm very not excited but like to talk about, but like I have my opinions on it.
Yeah.
How it's really shit for us. Oh, whoops. It's really bad for us. And I've tried my best to like make sure I'm not addicted to it, but it's a daily struggle. So yeah.
Me and Shahil, when he was here last time, we both agreed that there's so many issues with social media.
You could talk about the issues of social media for a month non-stop.
A 1 month podcast.
Yeah, literally a 1 month. But next episode is a 1 month podcast on social media.
Yeah.
But it is so crazy. Like just being so many people these days just doom scroll. They're just scrolling their life away. And I saw a video at the start of this year. Yeah, even I do it like sometimes. Like it's a daily struggle. I saw a video about how if you're spending 5 hours on social media per day,
Well, that's
52 days in a year.
That's 2 months. Almost
Yeah.
2 months.
52 days, basically.
Wow.
That
Just
from social media,
just scrolling, because you're doing other things. You're sleeping.
Yeah.
You're eating other things that take up your time. You're in a car traveling, and 52 days of time that's so limited.
Per year. That's per year. So
But
I think
I
I probably already, because I was like during COVID, like I was like always on TikTok, always on Instagram. I've probably wasted a year of my life already. Probably close to it.
Oh my God.
Because like during peak COVID, I was spending so much time on video games and social media.
That's why we need to use the time that we have left.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't have urgency.
Yeah.
Like they don't realize that they've only got one life.
Yeah.
Like that's why I took the spontaneous trip to Amsterdam. That I'm gonna take the spontaneous trip to Amsterdam.
And it's good to do something with your gap year.
Yeah, I didn't want to just be sitting around all the time.
That's what I was scared of. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna get a job maybe.
Yeah.
If I do a gap year, but yeah.
And like, for me, like I remember I saw a video with Thierry Henry, you know, the football player.
Yeah.
And he was asked what he would do if he wasn't a professional football player, and he said he'd be an amateur football player.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think that's quite inspiring. Like to a lot of people, like you don't do the sport just to go pro. You do it because you love it.
Yeah.
I think that's probably something I've realized over the past few months. Like the aim isn't to go pro. The aim is to just do the best that you can do while having so much love for the sport, having so much love doing all the discipline and stuff like that. Like I love doing all the discipline stuff, like daily, the 1%ers. I love doing all that stuff. Like going to the gym, going to the track, doing your stretches, doing your exercises, and going to the physio. I love doing that stuff. That's what I love about athletics. That's why I keep doing it.
Yeah.
I don't do it because I'm naturally gifted or because I want to make money. To be honest, there's not much money in track.
Yeah.
So even if I become professional, I don't
Sponsorships.
know. Sponsorships, like you could, like the you're not gonna make heaps unless you're one of the best in the world. So,
Yeah.
But you're gonna make a living off of it, which is pretty cool. But like,
the money's not the goal.
yeah, the money.
You have one life. You're not gonna spend your whole life just doing everything to make money.
Yeah, exactly. You want to do something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
But also that's real happiness, not fake happiness like social media and video games.
Yeah. It's instant gratification, and then you forget about it, and it's as if it never happened, and that time is just gone.
Exactly. Which it's what I said before. It's a daily struggle against social media because there's so many distractions in the world.
A quick tip: you need to replace social media with something. Don't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna stop social media" without replacing it,
because you get bored and then you just go back to it. So like reading, cooking. I watched this video about like I forgot the YouTuber that did it, but they do 100 things to do instead of scrolling on social media, and they have all these different topics. Like all these arts and crafts.
Whenever you have the urge to scroll, just do the thing that you.
And to be honest, it's better to be bored than to be scrolling. Because
I tried this strategy. Instead of scrolling or going on YouTube, I tried just being bored. Just sitting there being bored, and then it made me want to do something, and then I started studying or I started cooking something.
Exactly.
So just sit there and wait until you have something you want to do that's productive.
And I've tried a few different apps where it like limits your time. Like actually,
and you have the brick phone.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably gonna get rid of it because
you haven't used it in a while.
It's just. The phones are so useful. Like you don't have to be addicted to your phone to have it to be useful. Like in this modern day and age, like you got to scan QR codes, you got to sign into these things,
and also the brick phone is you can use it to message people. But
you can.
I guess it's
less
efficient.
It's quite difficult to use.
Yeah, and another topic, the Apple Vision Pro.
Oh my gosh,
which is crazy. You have 3 or 4 screens of TikTok and a movie playing at the same time. Yeah,
and you're
people frying their brains.
Literally frying their brains.
It changes your brain.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is so crazy, and it's just.
Me and Shahil, we compared it to a drug. We were talking about fentanyl.
Yeah, fentanyl.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. You're leaving. You're leaving
it's
real life.
It's the same as drugs.
Yeah. It's the same
I saw a video, this really good, like I think it was like a kind of like an artsy kind of video, you know, like an edit of something, of some sort, and it was like this guy was talking with this girl, and it was like you see all these videos and photos of people 100 years ago. Everyone's got a smoke in their mouth. Yeah, everyone's smoking, but in these days when you take a photo, everyone's looking at their phones.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They're the same. Everyone's always got an addiction like that.
I think scrolling on your phone is worse than smoking, to be honest.
I feel like in the long run, I think it's two different kind of things, because you talking about physically you're ruining your lungs, and then mentally you're ruining yourself.
I think it's worse to ruin yourself mentally.
Yeah, because then You're gonna have.
You're not going to be able to enjoy life properly.
Because you're always going to be looking for instant gratification, and you're always going to go the easy road. You're going to and back to the apps. I have one app that like said after 5 minutes on Instagram.
Is it Obsidian? I heard of Obsidian.
No.
Which locks your apps. Continue. Say.
It's called Screen Zen.
Okay.
And it uses a VPN where it just like shuts down your access to that, like your Wi-Fi to the app, so it stops loading everything, and then you just get pissed off. You're like, why are you loading? And you're like, oh, I should get off this app. And also, I have this thing on shortcuts.
Yeah,
the app.
The
you
app,
can when you open Instagram, you can like, I make it that a note pops up saying I'm gonna waste 52 days.
Oh.
So every time I open Instagram, it says I'm wasting 52 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got Instagram back because I wanted to talk to friends, but I can't help myself.
It's the convenience. I
can't help myself. I just scroll. Like,
social media is made for us to have our attention. It's made for us to be addicted to it. Yeah. Which is completely stupid. I don't even know how this is allowed because capitalism stuff. I'm not going to get into capitalism stuff. It's just so terrible. And I think the biggest flex you can have this day and age is not being addicted to anything, which is...
Yeah, that's impossible.
Yeah, it's basically impossible, but I feel like...
you need to be addicted to something that's good, like what you do, athletics and track.
Real gratification.
Yeah.
Like physical activity is like one of the best things you can do.
Yeah.
I'm losing my voice.
It's good how we changed the dynamic of the podcast from like at the start it was like an interview, like you're just talking,
and now it's just a conversation. Yeah.
How do you think I could improve the podcast, like seating maybe different chairs? My dad wanted to do it. If you open this on the couch over there, like bring all this setup on the couch so it's more comfortable.
I think this is a pretty good setup. I love the microphones. Did you buy these recently or?
Yeah.
These are really good.
Yeah, my dad got them for his podcast.
I might take a photo of them after and show my brother. But actually, maybe I'll show them to him when you actually release it, so I don't tell him that you're doing a podcast.
It's expensive. I'll probably release it.
Looks like a YouTube
3 weeks or a month. A month or a month and a half, something like that.
I won't tell anyone. Picky promise.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But I also think going back to language learning, and also with social media, like I watch a lot of videos on YouTube because I don't like watching videos that just talk about the actual learning itself, like they go over grammar points and vocabulary. Naturally taking in the language, that's what Stephen Krashen talks about, going back to him. So I found all these really good YouTubers that I like that speak Dutch. So there's a guy called Enzo Knol, and he's basically the Dutch version of PewDiePie. So he has like a 30 to 50 minute vlog every day, which is really good for my listening and watching, which is pretty good. And also the best way is speaking to natives. So I think I'm actually going to I'm going on a video call. Well, actually, 2 weeks, last week, a week and a half ago, I went out with a girl from from Belgium, but she's half Dutch, but she speaks Flemish, so it's like a dialect of Dutch. Okay. So the pronunciation is like a bit softer, and they have a few different words. It's like American English and normal English, and they spell a few words a bit differently, and they pronounce it a bit differently. Yeah. But I learned so much. I probably learned like 100 words just speaking to her. We we hung out for like 5 hours throughout Melbourne City because she's doing an internship in the city for physio, and she wanted me to show her around Melbourne. I can't drive, so we walked and we took public transport for like 5 hours, and it was actually really good. It was good and decent to actually hang out with someone and practice speaking Dutch. That's like big tip is like you can't just hide in a room and listen to stuff. You also gotta do some output. You gotta do it. Yeah. Exactly. Last year do it.
That was my mistake last year, just taking notes. You need to actually do the questions, do them over and over again. And then you understand it. You don't just memorize it, which is what you were saying. Exactly. Memory is not reliable.
Yeah, it's not reliable. exactly. Because like
Yeah.
I forget things all the time. Like,
Everybody.
I forgot what I had
Everybody.
dinner last night.
What did I have?
Wait, what did I have? What day is it today? It's Friday, Thursday. Oh, I had sausages and rice.
Oh, I had an omelette that I made. Sausages and rice. All right.
Mm.
Do you have anything else to talk about?
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna probably after university maybe,
After university?
depending.
How long is your course?
3 years.
3 years.
How long
So
is
you-
yours?
Mine is 2 years, which is the associate's degree that I'm doing right now, and then 2 years for a bachelor's, and then another 2 years if I want to do a master's.
Specialize? Or, yeah.
Yeah, master's to specialize.
To be honest, I could go so many different pathways. But if everything goes well, like I can get like a professional contract with running. I definitely want to I probably have like half the year in Australia, then half the year maybe overseas. But I definitely want when I start a family.
That's so weird to talk about.
When I start a family, I want to do it probably overseas, like in the Netherlands.
Yeah. So you want?
No, I don't want to raise them in suburbia like this.
Yeah.
Like there's so much more memories and things to be done. Like in like the Netherlands, we got
So
bike
you
paths.
plan on living
Yeah,
your life, the rest of your life in Netherlands?
maybe
or
we'll see.
maybe not the rest.
Melbourne will always be my home. Like,
Yeah.
but it's just
Melbourne is definitely not anywhere close to West City, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's not bad. It's just
it's
like
one of the best. It was rated the best in the world.
most
a couple of years in
livable
a row.
city.
Most livable,
Yeah. And still had like terrible traffic at that time. But like we got decent public transport. We got lots of things to do here. It's pretty easy to get around compared to Sydney. But yeah, so I gotta. I won't say it on here. Yeah, we'll go to the Netherlands. Hopefully, meet someone, start a family. This is
Awesome.
over a decade though. So,
Yeah.
yeah, in a long time.
Long
So
time.
long time, but it's just life plan, you know.
Maybe you'll listen back to this podcast in 10 years and you'll
Exactly.
be like, wow, I was
Wow.
so young.
And I was so wrong. maybe. But I think just take it as it goes. Definitely want to go experience more.
Guess how long we've been going? Chahil got it. I asked him like 2 or 3 times and he got it 1 minute off. Guess how long? Oh, you have a watch. Okay. Oh,
I think we've been going for an hour 20.
you're way off even with the time.
Wait.
2 hours exactly.
What?
We've been going for 2 hours exactly.
Oh, I thought I left at 2, but I left at 1. Whoops. So long.
Do you have to go home at a certain time?
I have to be home to make dinner
Okay, so
at 5.
we have time.
Yeah, we got lots of time.
But we can finish this and talk
Yeah, of course.
after the podcast.
But I was just happy this podcast is not a Sigma male podcast.
Yeah.
Because I've seen you got. Oh, also I do want to talk about social media because you got all these Sigma male podcasts everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not making 200 grand, and if you don't have all this stuff, you don't have a fancy car, then you're not a human.
I'll invite you again,
Mm.
and then we can talk about social media, philosophy,
Yeah.
any other interests that we have.
You know, it would be so cool. Like a conversation like this, but multiple people.
Yeah. I need to get another mic.
But we could. I'm sure my brother has a mic, so I could probably bring one.
Okay.
I
I invited.
But we can do like Chahil.
Yeah. Yeah, chill.
Yeah, Chahil. Everyone that loves philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a good conversation would probably be with Blake. Would probably about moving out.
I tried
With
to get
rent.
Blake.
Mm.
He said no.
What?
Maybe we can convince him
'Cause-
together.
I could go on as well at the same time if he wants to make it easier, less awkward. For
Yeah.
him. But like moving out of home and renting, because I think he's doing that
Mhm.
next year.
Yeah. Maybe if we do 3 people, it would be better if we're on the couch or
That's
something.
true. That's true. There's space here though.
Yeah. Maybe it's more comfortable over there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
This is. It feels more formal,
Yeah, that's
less
true.
casual because we got the chairs.
And a couch would actually feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
So,
I invited Rajiv.
Rajiv. Oh yeah.
Do you remember Rajiv?
Yep.
I was
Smart
talking
guy
to
from
him.
school.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's at RMIT with me.
Oh yeah.
Different course.
Different course.
Different degree, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's so interesting. He had so much conviction when he was talking, and we were talking about how to make money, or like evading taxes, but legally and crypto.
Yeah.
And he started investing in stocks. He has a certain strategy that he's using. So that's going to be so interesting when I talk to him as well.
Yeah, that would be so good.
And Blake, I wanted to get him on specifically because he has experience with just trying to start a business.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants to do. He's going to go to uni next year to do business
he's doing
management or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else you could invite. You could definitely bring my dad on if you wanted to.
Yeah, I could.
You could, because if you wanted to learn more about like training and stuff like that, because he's a pretty good coach, and like everything about the human body.
Yeah. I think I could do with when I was with Chahil, we did 1 hour and a half, but then we talked for another like 45 minutes after the podcast. And so I think I could like just do 2 hour and a half podcasts.
Yeah, you could.
Instead of 1 hour and a half. For retention rate. But actually, who cares? I'm not doing it for other people. I'm doing it to learn.
You could cut up the conversations. Because when we're talking about specific things for like 20 to 30 minutes, you could cut that up and then put it onto a separate episode or something like that. Yeah. You could do that if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we change conversation quite quickly.
Yeah. I think to start with, I want to do the least amount of edits, make it as easy as possible.
Yeah. And then
that way I can stay consistent and not be like, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah. Bring more people on. You can like talk about specific topics.
Yeah. I want to get like professionals in certain industries to do like a different kind of podcast, like interview kind of podcast.
A really good physio if you ever.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you ever like he knows so much of, he's like about the body and like how the nervous system and the muscles and the bones work.
Let me know after. Send me his name or something.
Yeah, we'll do. He's pretty frequent on Instagram and stuff like that.
Guess how long you talked about your holiday for?
I have no idea, but probably a very long time.
1 hour and 3 minutes.
1 hour and 3 minutes. What the hell? Oh my gosh. What I was going to say about social media. Is that people can be so influenced by what people say on social media, like on videos. Yeah. Like I remember this video about how this guy was saying, I can say like, women with short hair are not beautiful. And like they got all this music behind it.
They're gonna cut that bit off you, and then they're gonna make you sound sexist.
And he's like, and then you like think to yourself,
I disagree.
This could be true. I disagree as well. But like at that point, you're like, this could be true. Like in your mind, like people are thinking, and then he's like, that's how easy it is to influence people.
People are not critical enough.
Yeah, people are not critical enough. There's so much fake stuff going on in social media. People don't understand just because they're not really like educated
like red pill content. They think they have all the answers, but it's life is not black and white.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been trying to focus on that a bit more, like being like, I think also being more controlled with your emotions and stuff like that. I've been trying to focus on a bit more.
Be critical of what you think. Be critical of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Then like Marcus Aurelius
you're like what your mind is saying. Like you're not what your mind is saying. And how you do your life is not black and white. It's not just about making money and getting lots of girls. Yeah. Like firstly, like it's not all about making money. Like you're supposed to find happiness in yourself, not in external things. Yeah. And you're just objectifying women right there. Like it's not an attainable thing. You're supposed to find one woman and live happily ever after for the rest of your life. Yeah. Hopefully everything goes well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's a good podcast.
It is. Yeah.
I talked so much, my voice is hurting now.
Well, we can end it here.
Yeah, sure.
Last time when I ended it, I just said bye and ended it. But
say thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening, Dad and Marcus's family.
Yeah. I hope they listen to it.
Yeah. All right. Goodbye. Thank you very much for listening to this episode, and look out for new episodes coming out soon. The best way to support this podcast is by checking out our Instagram page, TikTok page, and YouTube channel. 2 other really good ways to support this podcast is by emailing podcast.cktc@gmail.com to give feedback. And the other way is to purchase one of the books using the links in either this description, the description of other episodes, or the description of the podcast. Thank you and enjoy your day.